Hi, today I'm going to bring you my review of the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Foundation. Now, a number of people have mentioned this to me over the last few months, probably the last 6 months, and kept saying to me I needed to give it a go. The problem was that I wanted to make sure I got my colour match right. My nearest Charlotte Tilbury was in Selfridges in Manchester, and I don't go there very often. In fact, the first time I went there was when I bought this. I wanted to give it a go. I wanted to get it properly colour matched, which I did by the wonderful lady Holly on the counter, who was absolutely fabulous and couldn't have helped me more than she did, and I left with a bag full of products. So I've been using this now for just over 2 months. There still seems to be absolutely plenty in the bottle. You don't actually need that much, but what I have learned during that time is there's right ways and wrong ways to put it on, and if you get it right, it's perfect. I found the best way to help me after about a week, and I was struggling and I thought, I don't understand why everyone is raving about this product. I can't get on with it. I sat in bed one night and watched a number of Charlotte Tilbury videos from the website, and then realised what it was that I'd been doing wrong. So I thought the best thing to do today to show you, because the one thing I discovered watching the Charlotte Tilbury videos is it's got an excellent coverage that you can actually use in replacement of concealer in certain places. It depends how much you struggle with skin tone differences in your skin. But I thought a good way to show you how good it is would be to do one side of my face with the foundation and leave one side of my face natural, because I've got no makeup on at the moment. So one thing you do need to do when you're using this foundation is make sure that your skin is well moisturised. Ideally as well, it doesn't apply very well over incredibly dry skin. So when I had some dry skin patches, the key thing that I needed to do was moisturise them really well, but also exfoliate. Some places where I'd had a spot and it dried out afterwards, the foundation clung to that. So you do kind of need an even skin, so even if it's just exfoliating and moisturising. The other mistake I made a few times was that this foundation, unless you have incredibly oily skin, doesn't actually need a setting powder over the whole face. I'll explain this a little bit as I'm going along. Now, I haven't been using a primer with this foundation. I found it lasted all day without a primer. However, I've bought a new primer I want to try out, because the one I had existingly was like a stick primer, and that didn't sit too well on the skin with this foundation. But I've been wearing it for 2 months without a primer and I cannot fault it, to be honest with you. Okay, let's get straight to it then. Now, as I'm only using it on half my face, I won't need quite as much as I do normally. Normally I use about 1 pump on the back of my hand and maybe a little bit extra to touch up some other areas. The other key thing with this foundation I found is I didn't like the way it applied with my brushes. Now, I don't have the Charlotte Tilbury brush. That one's obviously designed for the foundation. I tried it with my beauty blender, which worked really well, but my beauty blender's getting a little bit old. So I'll be using my Real Techniques makeup sponge. All you do is take the lid off, and on the back of your hand, probably you would need to apply a whole pump full. And then with a clean hand, I'm just applying it over my face and blending in. You can also use this as a concealer, so I'm going to apply a little bit more and do it around my eyes to show you. Now, the only thing I've found using it around the eyes is if you're slightly more mature like me and my almost 36-year-old skin, it does seem to crease under the eyes. So what I would say to you is stick with your usual under eye concealers and primers. I have a video up here for the ones that I normally use, and that's what I still normally do, but I wanted to show you this tutorial with only this makeup on my face. So you can see that I've applied it over the face. Attractive. And now I'm just going to blend it in. Take it down the jawbone, and this is the most perfect match I have ever had for a foundation. With my skin tone, I've just never been able to get one that actually is a good match for my skin tone. Now, if you have any areas that are more highly pigmented, I tend to suffer quite badly with red skin around here. I also suffer around my eyes and above my eyes. My eyelids tend to be quite red. So if you need any extra in those areas, then just apply it. And don't forget to go right into that crease on your eye if, like me, you get quite dark circles around there. Now I've just turned down the ISO on my camera a little bit just so you can see, because now I'm actually applying this to my face, my skin is looking a lot brighter. So I've just changed the camera settings so you can see a little bit better. So I've just changed the lighting in the room a little bit more so you can see the difference here a bit better. But if I sit square to the camera, this is the side that I've applied the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Foundation to, and this is the side that just has no makeup. And you can actually see the line going down my head here and just about down my chin here. You can see how good a match this is for my skin tone, but even though I only took it just over the jawline, there are no marks anywhere or tide lines, or you don't want those awful tide lines. But also you can notice around my nose here, this is where I normally apply concealer. This is the side with the Charlotte Tilbury on, and this side I don't have any makeup on, and you can see that I get red marks right round here, around the side of the nose, and also around the eyes you can see. Now the only thing I do find, and it's a little bit happened here, is if you go right under your lash line, if you're a little bit more mature like I am, then it can just gather slightly in the lines, but you should be able to see how dark the circles are and how red my eyelid is on this side compared to this side. So I'll just apply it to the rest of my face so you can see a full face coverage, and I can explain a little bit more about the powder that you should or shouldn't apply afterwards. Now this foundation does need to be blended well to avoid a cakey look, but when you get it right it's amazing and lasts all day. Now normally I would apply concealer as well around my nose just because it's something I'm self-conscious about, but I'm going to apply a bit more of the foundation. Especially because today I've got horrendous hay fever, and so my eyes have been streaming along with my nose and sneezing all day. Now once you have your full face of your Charlotte Tilbury Magic Foundation, the question is to set or not to set. Now I have made a few mistakes with this, that I treated it like I treated all my usual foundations and applied my primer, my foundation, and set it into place with the powder. I found I looked really cakey and chalky. The trick is, it's down to your skin type. If you have incredibly oily skin, then I'd say you probably need a dusting of powder over the whole face, but I do mean incredibly oily. I suffer an oily T-zone down here, and this is where I just concentrate the lightest dusting of powder. If you don't suffer with oily skin, steer away from the powder. This almost turns into a demi-matte. So all I do to make it last through the day, without it sort of sliding around a bit here, especially wearing glasses across the bridge of the nose, is I take a light dusting of a really fine, like mineral powder. This one is my Avon Ideal Flawless. I keep coming back to this one, I love this. And just a very light dusting brush. This is the Duo Fibre Face Brush from Real Techniques by Sam and Nick Chapman. And I would just literally do the lightest of dustings. Just around your eyes to hold it in place. And that would be it. Any more and my skin would look cakey. Basically, in essence, this one came so highly recommended to me. I love the fact that it's got a Broad Spectrum SPF 15 in it as well. That does help prevent the aging and the skin damage. This one I use is number 2, which is fair, and it seems to last ages, even though, you know, I use about 1.5 pumps on my whole face, sometimes a little bit more. If I'm going out at night, I'll go for a slightly heavier coverage, but in the day I like it quite natural and light, and it's still lasting. So whilst it is a bit more on the pricey range compared to drugstore, it just does keep lasting, and it depends on how you treat it. Don't over apply this foundation. It's better to start off with a little and work up to a little bit more. Also, I think that if you don't have the Charlotte Tilbury foundation brush, like I don't, you need some form of makeup sponge or beauty blender. I do find that this Real Techniques one works better with it than my existing beauty blender. I don't know if that's because this is slightly firmer. It almost seems to have a more dense texture to it. But overall, this foundation has now become a very firm part of my makeup routine. I love, for the first time in my life, as someone who's ginger with freckles, I've actually been able to get a foundation that matches my skin tone absolutely perfectly. There are no tide lines down it at all. You can see I didn't apply any on my neck, and the colour on my face is the same as my neck. That's amazing. One bit of advice I would give you, is, if you possibly can, get in store to your nearest Charlotte Tilbury or your nearest stockist and try out the foundations. I would have probably bought a 3 based on what it said on the website. When I went in and said this to Holly, she was like, oh no, I have you down for a 2. And she was right, I am a 2. It seems to adapt to your skin quite well as well, because one of my best friends, Abby, wears this foundation. I would say her skin is even paler than mine, and she also wears a 2 and it looks perfect on her. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to give me a thumbs up, and if you click down to subscribe as well. If you want to watch any of my other beauty videos, they are available up here. And if you want to see any of my nail tutorials, they are uploaded every Monday. Thank you very much for watching, and if you do buy the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Foundation, please leave me a comment below on how you found it. And also, if there's anything else that you'd like to see on the channel, I am always open to suggestions. You can either leave me a comment here, or you can follow me on my social media. All the links are in the video description, and drop me a message. Thank you very much.